my major question is really, how long do we wait on God to perform not only miracles, but to do things in our lives? When I look at people's testimonies on YouTube, it's years and years and years before
Hmm.
God does the things that he might tell people he's going to do. And when do we take action and when do we wait on God? The Bible tells us that
Mm.
to be patient and wait on the Lord, right? But I'm noticing that when I go ahead and take action, things, God said, ask and you shall receive, you know what I mean? Knock and the door shall be open, right? So we are supposed to do a certain level of action, but when are we supposed to sit back and actually say, you know what, I gotta wait on the Lord, and how long does it take for us to wait on the Lord and things like that? If I hope I make sense with that question, and
You
thank you,
may
sir.
you may if I can type right, you make perfect sense. And you literally brought it up when you brought up Noah. How long do you wait on God? As long as you got breath. Because God is not necessarily obligated to promise to fulfill, or if he is going to fulfill it at that moment. What does Galatians say? Be not weary in well doing, but in due season, at the right time, at the time appointed, if it's going to be answered, where you shall reap a reward. And so you're going to get your reward by your faithfulness. Now, it might be that God is molding you, growing you, so that the thing that He's going to get you, you're going to appreciate, and it's not even what you thought it was going to be before. But here's what we're supposed to do, and I use this example. We've heard this statement: knock or seek, and you will find. So let me ask you a question. By the way, what is your real name?
Uh, is it safe to say that online?
Just your
People,
first
I
name.
don't know if it's
Just your first name.
Antoine.
Antoine. Okay.
Yes,
Antoine.
sir.
Answer this question. I'm going to ask everyone in the chat the same question. When I say seek and you shall find, what does that say to you? What do you think that means?
To look, to discover.
Okay.
Uh,
It
yeah.
could be. And someone will say, seek Jesus and you'll find him. But that's not what it means. So let's go to where we
Okay.
find this particular text. This is in Luke chapter 11. And let's read what he says. Luke 11, verse 5. Then he says, suppose one of you has a friend and goes to him at midnight and says to him, friend, lend me 3 loaves. For a friend of mine has come to me from a journey, and I have nothing to set before him. And from the inside, he answers and says, do not bother me. In other words, he says, get lost, kick rocks. The door has already been shut, and my children are asleep, and you're bothering me. Minutes late. Why are you bothering me? I cannot get up and give to you anything. But I tell you the truth, even though he is not willing to get up and give him anything because of his friend, yet because of his persistence, he will get up and give him as much as he needs. So I say to you, ask and it will be given. Seek and you will find. Knock and it will be open to you. For everyone who asks receives. So here's the question. Here's the point again. If I say seek, it's just this constant seeking. In other words, and I use this example of my daughter. When she was young, she would always come and ask me, what do we eat today? She would ask her mother, what are we eating today? And she would ask it in the middle of the day. She's already had breakfast. She's already had lunch. And so now she wants to know, what are we eating for dinner? Are we going to eat? And she would ask kind of with a worried look. It's like, why do you always ask as though we're not going to? And I said, one day I said, her name's Morgan. I said, Morgan, I said, honey, how old are you? And at the time she was 9 or 10. I said, have I ever, or has your mother, or anyone in your family ever failed to feed you breakfast, lunch, and dinner? No, sir. I said, so you're 10. So let's take that times 365. So what's that? Oh, Lord. However many days that is. What's that, 36,000 days? I said, in all those days, we have never failed to feed you. So why do you keep asking? I just wanted to make sure. And then it dawned on me. She did the right thing. I want to make
Mm.
sure that I'm going to get something from you, Father. And who should I go to make sure I get what I'm looking for? You, Father. So what should we do? Keep going to him. Keep asking. Keep knocking. Keep begging. Keep, Lord. And if he says no, okay, but even if he says no, guess who you're standing in the presence of when you're knocking and asking? You're standing in his presence. And he might give you something more than, have you ever asked for something or wanted something And then as time went on, you realize, I don't want that. You ever wanted something?
Yes, sir.
And so God knows what he needs to give you. But what he really wants to do is to pull you in closer. And so why would I give someone something that's far away from me or that's going to cause him to go further away from me? But if I can make him ask and keep asking and keep asking, and his asking allows me to draw him in closer to me, that's what I really want. And then watch me give him something. As a matter of fact, watch me start blessing him with other things. Now, I'm not saying he's going to do those things, because you'll get over time, you'll become more secure in the thing that you have that's most precious, which is him. And then other little things, you'll start finding out that nothing bothers you like it used to. You've got peace when others don't have peace. Folks are gonna look at you, well, wait a second, why are you not tripping? Why are you tripping? Why are you bothered? Why does something like this upset you? Don't you know who I got? In other words, like Jesus trying to get the disciples to understand, I'm in the boat with you, knuckleheads. Why are you tripping off the wind and the waves? I created those things. Look who you're with instead of look what your surroundings are. Don't do that. Don't you realize? As a matter of fact, you ever watch sports?
Yes, sir.
Okay, the best games, even if it's your team, is when there's adversity around and they win in the end. Those are the most rewarding.
Mm.
My Texas Tech Red Raiders just won, even though we messed that game. We should have been in the Final Four, but that's a whole other story. But we came back from 16 points down and went to overtime and won. I thought we was playing like some hot trash. It was so satisfying and rewarding with all the adversity. We got guys that are injured and to still pull this game out. Man. And then I look at how God has blessed me in certain times. It's almost like every time he's blessed me, especially things that I think about the most, he pulled it out of the jaws of defeat. Like, wow, look at God. I think about my marriage. I think about my freedom. I think about my sanity. These are things that were in peril. But look what God did. And so now when someone says something, when the bills come due or something's up, I'm good. I got God. And so I think once we get used to that, then when we go to knocking on the door, we don't mind waiting, do we? Because we're going to be persistent.
Right.
So
Right. Oh,
that's
persistent.
how
I
I would
was gonna
answer the
say
question. You're
persistent.
gonna wait as long as you need to wait. But while you're waiting with the Lord.